Hello and good afternoon. This is Judd Hendricks with Interfaith Paths to Peace, and I want to welcome you to our Monday Soul of the City program. And once a month, we're having a delightful treat to have Doug Van Houten that's leading us in a program called Nature-Based Soul Work. And I'm really excited today. This is one of my favorite topics, dream work. Soul-centric dream work. And so Doug is going to be leading us in some ways to reflect on our dreams. In fact, we're actually going to do some work with dreams. So I'm really glad you all would join us today. So those that are joining on Zoom, I want to welcome you, and we'll put this up and put it on Facebook as well for those of you that want to participate in it there. Doug, thanks so much for being back with us. I know you've already had a busy day of teaching and facilitating. So thanks for being with us this afternoon to talk about what I think is maybe one of the most important spiritual practices in what we call the underworld practices and dream work. And I don't think there can be any type of integral spiritual practice that doesn't include a module on dream work. It's such a rich practice. And Doug, thanks for your wisdom in leading us to that today. So thanks for being on, and take it away, Doug.
Awesome. Thank you, Judd. Good to be here again for our third session. We have what, 3 more, I think, right?
3 more, yeah.
1 each month. Yeah. We're gonna dive into some soul-centric dream work here, and I'll talk a little bit about what that is. There's many different ways of doing dream work, right? Soul-centric has its own particular flavor. And again, we'll get to that in a minute. But Judd, I was wondering about doing a nice little, with a piece of music, a dropping down and in with folks that are here. I think though, for me to play music, you might have to make me host so I can share the screen, or does that matter for your Zoom?
It does, yes. I'm making you a co-host right now.
Okay. So everyone, invite you to get comfortable, and I'm going to play us a piece of music, and go on and close your eyes. You can just sit there in your chair is fine, and get comfortable and take several deep breaths, letting yourself to arrive here fully. And this piece of music I'm going to play, let me know if this is too loud, and I'll turn it down if it is. I'm going to talk though with my voice here. And how does that sound with my voice? Is that okay, everyone? Can you still hear me even with the music going? Right now, still fine? Okay, great. All right. So this would just be for a few minutes, and go on and close your eyes and let yourself arrive, welcoming this precious moment, and letting the music help you to do that, to arrive more fully, and to again drop down and into sacred time and space. Feeling your body there in the chair, in your clothes. Feeling the space that you're in. Slowing down, releasing, relaxing. Allowing yourself to be here fully. To be here fully and to be curious of soul-centric dream work and dream time. And now I invite you to perhaps open a channel in the crown of your head. Allowing a shift in consciousness and perspective come flooding in. Opening your throat so that you can speak more fully and clearly in our time together. Softening under your ribs and arms for the freedom of expressions. Opening your hands to receive. Breathing down into the belly of you, opening up your deep passion for life and to your sense of a greater soul purpose. And let the energy of the cauldron of your pelvis swirl and pull you down to your rootedness on this earth. Let all the natural elements of you to become present here. The salty seawater of you. The breath of air of you. The deep roots of the tree of you that sink down deep into earth. The winged one of you, and the wild beating heart of you. Allow yourself to feel this full body membership with the earth, right where you are at this moment, outside the four walls. Note, feel, admire, welcome the birds, the insects, the trees, turtles, all that reside in your ecosystem, in the garden that surrounds you. Let yourself land fully in this earthly realm and in your animal body. You belong here. You've always belonged here. And perhaps notice what threads say, "Pay attention to me." What is whispering meant only for your ears from mystery? What doors are waiting to be opened, thresholds crossed? What needs to die? And what is waiting to be reborn? What is breaking your heart? On earth or in your life? Recall the dreams that are haunting you. What are the tales and the stories you can no longer deny? And what ceremonies or vows are waiting for you. Feel the mix of all of this in you calling. There's a circle here right now, waiting for you. Perhaps at the edge of the village even. Circle waiting for you, inviting you to have the largest conversation you can have with the world. To be transformed, transfigured, transmuted, shape-shifted. We arrive here in this circle, welcoming, inviting what the earth does, and that is it dreams through us, it imagines through us. We're here to become an open vessel. So come and sit here in this circle together, bringing your dreams and dream images, offering them up. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. So glad that you're here for Dream Time to share and talk about soul-centric dream work. And what we'll do is we'll hear some dream images from you all, and I'll give you some ideas about how to work with those images. Usually on the land, because the work I do is nature-based soul work. And it's a little bit of eco-psychology, a little bit of depth psychology. So it's out on the land, you know, wandering with the dream images. There's really no more potent place to work with dreams than out on the land. Nature is true to its nature. And it's hard for us to lie when we're in nature. Our own true nature comes up for us. It gets mirrored for us, right? So doing this dream work in nature is the most potent place. Hey, I wonder, Rhodey and Marilyn, do you all have a video? Just curious, I'd love to see your face if you do. But that's all right if you're, oh, okay. That's all right, yeah.
Yeah, we know, Rhodey.
Sorry,
we can see the other guy.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Rhodey. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so let's talk about soul-centered dream work before we do. I think it's really good to get kind of clear on what this is, because you know, in the world there are lots of different ways to work with dreams, and different places on earth do it differently. Different villages, different groups. But what we're doing here is soul-centric dream work. And so what we're interested in here is, what is soul trying to communicate to your everyday consciousness? So that's the deep premise that we're working with here. We're listening, we're engaging with the energy, the images that Dream Maker offers up, and we're curious. We're asking, you know, what is Dream Maker up to here? And what we often discover is Dream Maker is saying things like, you're wrong about this. I want you to reassess this, because the ego's like real proud of its story, right? Everyday consciousness wants us to stay in the same story, right? But soul's like saying, hey, I'm going to show you where you're wrong in the dream. James Hillman, great post-Jungian, said that in every single dream, just about, not every one, whatever the ego's trying to do is the wrong thing. Whatever the dream ego is trying to do is the wrong thing. It's not the thing to do. Like trying to get away from that scary figure. Oh no, turn and face. Seeing in the dream, you're real proud. I got away from that. See, I feel really good about I got away from that. Or I told that dream figure, you go away, get away from me. Well, James Hillman would say, actually, your invitation is to not do that anymore. You know, to work with the dream and actually face that energy or that figure. Or next time that one shows up in a dream, or deep imagery or active imagination, engage it. Don't run away. This is shadow work. This is shadow work. There's something deep in there that's trying to reach you, right? Dream maker may also be saying something like, I want you to feel this more in your life. So it might give you this whole scenario and you have this deep emotion, you know, and you touch on it in the dream, or maybe you go deeply in the dream. Dream maker may want you to take that on the land and fall so deeply into that emotion that it works you in all the right ways, breaks your heart down, breaks you open, you know, to be changed by that. Dream maker may also be saying, I want you to live this more into the world. I want you to know more of this about you. And so the premise here is soul is the real architect of your life. There's an intelligence that lives inside of us. There's this other that lives inside of us that knows how we are to grow and what to become. Think of acorn to oak tree. This soul, you could say, is the true architect of our lives. Everyday consciousness is something different, right? That's the surface part of our psyches, right? We have this, pretend the circle is our psyche. Surface part is up here. Down in the depths is shadow. All these things we don't know about ourselves. And down in there, you could say, that's where soul is too. And soul is personal and universal. That wisdom is personal wisdom and universal wisdom, right? And Judd, I'm just going to keep going with things about soul-centric. If you got any questions you feel pertinent to your folks, just jump in, right? Okay. Let's see, a couple of other things to say is that with this approach to dream work, we don't interpret dreams. Like some things you get some dream work says, oh, a book means this, or a deer means this. And I find that valuable, actually, but it may not be exactly what a deer means for me in this moment. So I could be limiting the dream by limiting it to what an animal book might say about what a deer is, right? So we don't want to interpret, but we do want to get a kind of advice from our dreams. That usually comes down the line after we work with it for a little bit, right? So my work, this work, is to help you get closer to the images and the energies in the dream, the underworld energies, right, from the unconscious, and let that have its way with you in the waking world. So I offer techniques about how to, again, engage the images, the energy. Where is it shimmering in the dream? Where is it that you don't want to go, you know, and these kinds of things. Yeah, with this kind of dream work, we reap transformation, healing. We often get direction for our lives. We're guided to things. Again, because the premise is there's this deep wisdom that lives within us. You know, if you think about like your own dreams, like you've had, can't you just marvel at like what in me is so intelligent that could unfold something so magnificent? Like, I didn't choose that. Who did? Where did that come from? Wow, there must be something in me pretty powerful, right? To be able to like, here, let me offer this up to you. You know, once you work with a dream, right? Maybe new to some folks, but once you work with a dream and you get it, you're like, wow, there really is this power that lives, this wisdom that lives inside of me that's really there, you know, sending me. I think them as love letters to turn my life inside out, to turn my life inside out, to live something much more deeper than my everyday personality or self is aware of, you know, and to gather up my wholeness, right? And to live soul in the world. Well, now I could say a whole bunch more, but how about, Judd, if we open it up to a couple of questions and then we'll jump in to hearing some images. Oh, and
Yeah,
then I'll share a poem. I'll share a poem after questions. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, if folks have questions, comments about kind of the ideas behind the dream work, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a
Yeah.
question or make a comment, add to the convo.
Hopefully you'll ask me something I don't know how to answer. That'll get me to get chewed on.
Yeah. Anybody have a question, comment? Well, let's just, yeah, kind of jump in. And if you want to read a poem and then see if folks have a,
Okay.
Jerry, did you have a comment? Yeah, question, please.
Yeah. First, I want to say I really appreciate you guys doing these calls. Very cool. Glad to be able to participate.
Thank you.
But Douglas, I was wondering what you make of precognitive dreams, if you've had much experience with that. And I don't have a specific question about it, but I have experienced it in a powerful way. And just wondering how it fits in with your whole understanding of soul and that dream maker you're talking about.
Can you give me an example what you mean by precognitive?
By precognitive, I mean that I have a dream, and then some future time, say a few months later, something happens that is uncanny.
Okay.
And it's really striking if I write the dream down and I can go back to it and be like, wow, the odds of this particular configuration of details that happen in the dream that I'm also experiencing now seems infinitesimal. Odds that it would just be something random in the universe. So basically dreams that foretell something about the future.
Great. Well, I'm glad I asked you because I just wanted to make sure what that meant for you. But yeah, like, you know, I personally have had dreams that later it was uncanny that unfolded for me. You know, Jung talked about in his mind, in his experience, dreams could foretell the future. Quite literally, But certainly what we do know is that matter, all matter dreams, you could say. Nothing happens that isn't dreamt or imagined first. That's certainly true for humans. If I can't imagine it or dream it, it's not going to happen. So personally, 9/11, this makes my hair stand on end. The night before 9/11, the whole night I was sleeping. All night long, I dreamt of bodies being crushed and destruction and smoke and fire and glass. All night long. I woke up that morning and I wondered who in my life, like I was afraid, like, because I've had other dreams, like, was that somebody I know? Should I, because I've had this experience with dreams. And I even called a couple of people, my partner at the time. I called my sister, are you okay? I go to work, I go in and sit at my desk, and in comes my coworkers. Did you hear about the towers? I was like, no. So I personally have had experience that it does foretell the future in some way. Now you could say, well, that was just a random thing. But sometimes it's so uncanny that it's kind of like, wow. So I'll offer
Jerry,
that. Yeah.
yeah, well, there's a book that came out called Dreaming the Third Reich. And it was a woman who did, she interviewed psychoanalysts in Germany before the Holocaust started. And in fact, I got a little, I'll show you the screen of her work. It's called The Third Reich. Charlotte Barrett's, I guess, is her name, where she actually showed that it was what was going to happen in Germany was arising in people's dreams before it happened. And I think that's the idea. Also, what's called social dreaming, that sometimes our dreams are not for us, they're for the collective.
Right.
And so that dreams can have both an individual interpretation, but can also have a collective. And so this was the gentleman, Gordon Lawrence, who wrote a book called The Infinite Possibilities of Social Dreaming, to use dreams not for us personally, but for the collective. So that we may be dreaming our partner's dream, we may be dreaming of our family's dream. And so those are real interesting concepts. But what it's sharing is what you're talking about is there's something, the dream world taps into a field that transcends maybe even time and space, that allows images or energies to come into consciousness in dreams that don't have spatial, they may be transpersonal. And so I think that's kind of what, and they may transcend time. They may be related even past time, which is really interesting to think about. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that as a resource.
Great. I think that's true. Yeah. Like collective dreams, collective shadow, right?
Yeah.
Jung reminds me real quick, I'll tell you a story. Jung was working with a fellow, and the fellow, he had no deep imagination. He didn't believe in all of like what Jung was doing. He was doubtful about all kinds of stuff. And I think he'd been to see Jung in sessions a couple of times or 3 times. And one night he dreamt about a scarab, a little beetle. He dreamt all night about this beetle. And when he goes in the next day to his session with Jung, he's sitting there talking to Jung, and there's a window behind Jung, and the beetle shows up in the window. And his life turned inside and out. He was on his knees kind of experience, of like, wow, something mysterious is up here. I guess, the world's connected in mysterious ways that we can't see or sense or know, is my sense, right? There's one garment of the world, and we're all a thread to it. There's one mystery or spirit, if you, whatever you want to call it, we're all a echo of that, right? A hologram of that, some expression of that. And so we're connected in mysterious ways. So, yeah. So a long-winded way to answer that question. Any other questions from anybody?
I'll put in the chat box those 2 resources if anybody wants to see them. Come back to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so no other questions. Maybe in a little bit. Let's see. I have this poem. I don't think I read this in this series. It's called Song of a Man Who Has Come Through, or Song of a Woman Who Has Come Through. And this is by D.H. Lawrence. This is one of my favorite poems, especially for dream work. But also, I think, for helping us to understand a little bit more about soul. What is it? So here it is. Not I, but the wind that blows through me. Not I, but the wind that blows through me. A fine wind is blowing the new direction of time. If only I let it bear me, carry me, if only it carry me. If only I am sensitive, subtle, oh, delicate, a winged gift. If only most lovely of all, I yield myself and am borrowed by the fine, fine wind that takes its course through the chaos of the world. Like a fine, an exquisite chisel, a wedge blade inserted. If only I am keen and hard, like the sheer tip of a wedge, driven by invisible blows, the rock will split. We shall come at the wonder. We shall find the Hesperides. Oh, for the wonder that bubbles into my soul, I would be a good fountainhead, a good wellhead, would blur no whisper, spoil no expression. What is the knocking? What is the knocking at the door in the night? Is it somebody wants to do us harm? No, no. It is the 3 strange angels. Admit them. Admit them. So something is trying to come through us. Something is trying to blow the wind through me into time, capital T. You know, something's blowing the new direction of time through me. We come in from mystery, the eternal, into time. What is that mystery? How will we ever know, right? We may have inklings of it, but blows coming through time, and it's always coming through, trying to blow me into the right direction, right? If only I am sensitive and subtle. If only a winged gift. If only I let it bear me, carry me. If only it carry me. I too would be like a good fountain, a good wellhead, would blur no whisper, spoil no expression. So often dreams come in a more angelic form, trying to get our attention. If we don't pay attention, it gets more vociferous, louder, even scarier, maybe even more nightmarish, right? So nightmares come. And, you know, it's like, is it here to do me harm? You know, like I was saying earlier, no, not it, you know, admit them. Let them have their way with you so they can blow the new direction of time. So I love that poem because I think it gives a great, that's D.H. Lawrence, 80, 90 years ago, right? Beautiful. Judd, how much time do we have? I'm trying to remember. Do we go to the half hour?
Yeah, we can go. Yeah,
Okay.
we're free until 4:30, so we can go
Well,
as long as we want.
let me open this up. And how did that poem hit you all? What did that is there something that resonated with you or stirred you up or did something for you? Just share a couple of sentences if you'd be willing.
When you were reading it, Doug, a book popped into my head by Morton Kelsey called "Dreams: God's Forgotten Language." He was an Episcopalian, I think, psychoanalyst or Episcopalian priest, but that's the way he talked about dreams, as God's forgotten language. It's the way God is trying to speak to us. And if we can learn that language, then we can listen to God. And he was using it in the theistic sense of that. But yeah, that for whatever reason, that book came up in my head while you were sharing. So.
Can you put that in the chat room? I'd love to copy that. Yeah, I'm always looking for more dream books. It's hard to find what I call really good dream workers out there, dream books.
So I have
anybody else? Okay, Marilyn. Yeah, love to.
The forgotten dream work. I love that, God's forgotten. Because what I'm thinking about is dreams that I've had in the past, haven't had any recently, in which I hear music, and music is a forgotten language. It's and also the pictures that we see. We know that how wonderful art is, and how that brings out the child in us, the pre-verbal child. And both music and art are part of that forgotten language. I also have a little bit of a dream, and I don't want to take too much time. I would say it rather quickly, but you do want more comments on the poem? Because I'll wait.
Oh yeah, let me hear if anybody else does, and then we'll open it up for dream images here in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. And which could be very quickly if no one has anything. But anybody else have the poem? Did that speak to you in some way?
Yeah, for me, there's a couple like parts that ring or resonate. Both the yielding of giving way to the wind, right? Not fighting or suppressing it, but but really letting it blow through you. But also the title of a man who's gone through, and it's to go through. I don't know, I think the things that take you there, the despair and the longings and the trouble and challenges.
Yeah, hearing you and Marilyn just made me appreciate the title even more. Thank you all for that. That line, if only most lovely at all, I yield myself and am borrowed. It's like something wants to come through us, right? If we just get out of the way in some ways, right? Yeah. Something wants to blow through us. Right?
Just get out of the way.
Right. Not that easy, right? Because the ego and the wounded ego, right, often is in the way, right? Or lack of wholeness, right? Yeah. Anyone else about that poem?
I'll just say
I think it was right on, and it was really affirming. It's just like D.H. Lawrence kind of defining what soul is, or my understanding of it through that poem.
Oh, great.
And, I like the image of the wind, but also of the chisel, because sometimes it feels like there's so many distractions calling out in the middle world that it really takes some effort for me to prioritize paying attention to things that are soulful, like dreams. And somehow that chisel was really affirming, like, to that part of me that, musters up the effort and decides to prioritize being soulful.
If only I am keen and hard like the sheer tip of a wedge, driven by invisible blows, the rock will split. Always think of that as my egoic, smaller local story will split. We shall come at the wonder, we shall find the Hesperides. Yeah. And I think too, like, I think you were in, Max, were like, we were kind of touching on this, it's like a wedge blade inserted. Like there's difficulty, like giving ourselves to this, and then like saying yes to it. Because to let soul have its way with us can turn our life inside out and alienate us from the life we're living on some level, right? If we're living a life that's egocentric and not soul-centric. And we know most of our culture is pretty egocentric, and we're destroying the planet because of that. We're living in the shallow part of our psyches individually and collectively, and all these egos are conforming to each other, and culture's getting shallower and shallower and shallower and shallower, right? Look what's on the TV and the news. It's adolescent. It's, there's wisdom there too, right? There's all around, but I think it's we're pathologically egocentric now. Yeah. So anybody else? And if not, we'll jump into some hearing some images.
I wanted to add, this reminds me of Pema Chodron and the idea of metta for oneself. How absolutely foreign that is in a lot of our culture. We are crammed into cans, weighed, graded, and labeled, very early ages.
Yeah.
We end up being hypercritical. We are our own worst critics, seeking a perfectionism that's always dangled in front of us. And what I liked was you're saying something is trying to come through us.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only if you've already had your heart broken and you stop and live with yourself.
Right.
And start to become receptive. I just heard echoes of Pema that the most foreign thing is to give ourselves a break. The most foreign thing in our culture is to give ourselves a hug. What Harry Pickens talks about gentling and ourselves. And yes, it resonated very, very much, Doug. Something is trying to come through us. If only we would take the time to listen.
Right. Yeah. Beautifully said. Oh my gosh. I want to write that down and borrow that. Beautiful. Yeah. I think it speaks to what I was saying earlier that in some ways we've stalled. This is Bill Plotkin, my teacher, speaking. In some ways we've stalled out in a kind of adolescence, and we're consumed by adolescent habits and desires in our culture in general. And elderhood and true adulthood is a rare occurrence in our culture. You know, to be a multifaceted, fully human adult, you know, and elder. And it's not to beat ourselves up about that. It's just like to make an honest assessment about where we're at. And like the work at Animus, part of what we're about is how do we become fully human again? What are the developmental deficits that are true for you, and being honest and assessing that in yourself, tracking that, and you know, remedying that, you know, and so that's what we teach people to do, how to embody their innate natural given wholeness, how to, you know, how to do what we call self-healing work, to step in with our wholeness, to do healing work with the parts of us that have been cast out, and to love those parts of ourselves, right? And even bigger is the soul encounter piece. Like, what is soul? What do I listen to give me direction? What part of me knows what's worth doing? Is it the intellect? Not really. The intellect can only tell you what it thinks about something. But where do I really get the juice from? Oh, it comes from the muse. It comes from what I'm dreaming and imagining into, right? Think about a songwriter. They're not like, it's not the intellect saying, oh, play G, C6, 7. It is after the inspiration comes. Well, what was that sound? Oh, that was a G7 that came. Oh, and then a C8. Yeah, oh yeah, that's what's coming through, right? You know, but there's something much deeper in us offering that song, right? Like this title that wants to come through us. And can we surrender to that? Can we build the kind of wholeness to live that into the world? And especially at this time, right, where the species is at risk. So where do we turn? You know, I think cultivating our own deep knowing is one of the most profound things we can do. And that's living soul-centrically. Yeah. Okay. So we'll open it up for some dream images. So what I'm going to do, Judd, is not, or for you all, is not to hear the whole dream. We might do some of that in a little bit, but to be able to hear from several people would be to just share an image, right? Like, where in the dream is it really shimmering for you? You know, and so it could be as simple as, you know, I'm in downtown New York City, and there's a monster with 8 teeth who reminds me of my brother who's after me, and he grabs a hold of my arm and won't let go. And I'm trying to shake him off, and I'm furious, right? That's kind of as simple as it could be, right? And just doing that piece could really open up some deep work for you. So who'd be like willing to share an image and kind of role model that for me? If you think you can do that, role model just sharing, you know, succinctly an image. And if you try and get the whole dream in there, I'm going to rattle you.
I can do that.
Okay, Sandra.
Yes. So I am in the underworld. I know that I'm in the underworld, and it's all pinky and orangey. And I'm walking kind of scared, not really enjoying what I'm seeing around. And at one moment, I'm seeing a huge cauldron that on the edges has monster teeth. And in the cauldron, there are thousands and thousands of baby monsters, baby of the underworld, I don't know, which are crying and yelling, and they are very, very, very hungry. and I'm walking and I'm pretending I'm not seeing them.
Oh,
They see me, but I'm pretending like, no, 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 no.
pretending that I'm not seeing them. Wow.
Or hearing, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So you said you're in this other world. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, other world, I said underworld.
Underworld. Okay.
Underworld, yeah. It's, although it's not all darkness, it is pink and orange. I know I'm like in yeah, in a soil kind of world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So just feel that for a moment, that soiled world, right? That's, you know, you're not enjoying, right? You're scared, right?
Yeah, now that you're asking me to do that, I'm actually realizing that I am enjoying, probably I am enjoying the place. I'm not
Uh,
enjoying the loud babies that are hungry.
so you're enjoying the place, this
Yeah, I'm
place
also,
in the underworld that's pinky and orangey.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is scary because it's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm good in the place.
Yeah. And then you see a cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep your eyes closed if that's okay. You see a cauldron and it has big teeth.
Yeah,
Describe again what you see.
the edges of the cauldron have teeth.
Yeah.
So it's like a huge, huge mouth, actually, which
Mm,
is the cauldron.
yeah.
And I'm walking just on the edge of this cauldron, of this mouth.
Uh-huh. And you're also you're hearing and seeing what?
I'm hearing and I'm seeing thousands, maybe 1 million of babies, which have huge mouths for their size, for their little size.
Mm,
And I know that they're hungry and they're screaming, asking, demanding to feed them.
hmm can you see any of the babies, or do you, I know you
Yeah,
try not to, but what do you see? What do you notice when you see them?
I see very, very many heads that are
Mm,
monstery heads. They're not really human babies, they're monstery babies that are quite round and black, and they have big mouths with shark teeth,
mm. Ah,
and they're
and,
crying.
and they're crying and yelling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's that like?
Oh, it is. Oh, now I feel very tense. Now that just you ask me how is that like, it's like shut up. I just want them to shut up because
Uh,
there's so many and it's overwhelming. Like even if I want to feed them, I have no idea what to feed them. But even if I want, there's just so many that is overwhelming, and I just shut up. Don't let me mind my business and walk just by and pretend I'm not hearing you.
so feel, if it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
send feel into that. Just shut up. I'm overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm overwhelmed. I can't, and even if I knew what to do, I don't know what to do. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just be with that overwhelm for a minute. The yelling and the screaming.
Yeah, I feel like very tense. I feel like shaking and my heart beats a little bit faster and
Hmm
I'm a bit sweaty. Um, yeah, very, very tense here in my chest area because
So
it's
very,
overwhelming.
yeah. Say more about that. It's overwhelming if you
Yeah,
don't.
it feels heavy. It feels heavy because it's not, I don't feel like there's a beginning and end. It's just so much all of a sudden, and there's no one else around. I'm kind of, in a way, I'm alone in this underworld, and there's no help. It's just they're all facing me.
They're all facing you, right? They're would it be free to, they want your attention?
Yeah, because I'm the only one who's passing, so they
Uh,
kind of probably waited for someone to pass there and for them to scream and to ask.
and want to ask you that overwhelm. Do you know that overwhelm?
um, well, in many forms, yes, I do know it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a close friend that I'm having. Um, yeah, a little bit. It is similar to mystery calling me in my bigger story, on
Mm,
and on and on.
yeah.
Um, Feels overwhelming most of the times, every
But
day.
every day your larger story, right? This soul journey you're on, right? This
Hmm.
work,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
this path that you've chosen. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming too, right? You
Mm.
enjoy it, but it's yeah. Uh, and now that I mean, we could stay here for a long while. Anything else come up in this moment? Now that we sort of traveled through this dream, any other awarenesses or curiosities that you have?
Maybe just one that I wasn't aware of, that I'm alone and I'm the
You're,
old in the underworld in a way. And yeah, it's this beautiful image that I have with me and the thousands, millions of babies. And I
mm,
find it fascinating, just that realization.
uh, way. Okay, if it's all right, coming back and
Yeah,
opening your
yeah.
eyes.
Mm,
Yeah.
thank
Wow.
you.
What a dream. And I was sort of imagining the work that you're doing and the learning and the, what you're up to in the world and sort of like the immensity of the impossibility of like living this into the world, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And and I really hear you about like this piece around being overwhelmed
Mhm.
and by being alone, this sense of being alone and the impact of that, right?
Mm,
So I wonder, like, how could you, like, go back into the dream and explore that some more and like be curious about this one who feels so alone. I know you know parts of her, right?
mhm.
You're familiar, but like Dreammaker's asking something else here, showing you something else here, wanting you to give your attention to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's alone and what's this? What? Like, is there something that needs to be cultivated here? Is there some guidance being asked? Do you need to, can you listen to these babies?
Mm,
Can you even get in the cauldron with them?
mm. Wow, okay,
The
that's interesting.
monsters, right? What are these monsters? There's thousands of them screaming and yelling at you. And you're the one that's tending, right? Walking by, right?
Mm.
Way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
To,
Thank you for,
to
yeah,
get it.
sharing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, if you're all right, can I take off my dream guide hat and just talk about it for a second? Is that all right? Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, so that like that's kind of how we go at dream work. And like, Sandra and I could have worked with that dream for 30, 40, 50 an hour. And like, you know, and because we're in this group and wanting to hear other possibilities. But had we stayed in that dream, it's like she could have gone way deeper into um like the aloneness, way deeper into hearing the screaming of these monsters, right? And again, what is it that this deep, the depths in me are offering here for me to discover, about how the winds of time are wanting to blow through me, right? These energies, letting them have a way with me and then guiding me. And so now I know Sandra, she's going to go work with this dream and heighten this again with you know, the babies, and then also that they're screaming and yelling, and the like, I wish it was over. I don't want this. Stop. You know, combining that with feeling alone and feeling overwhelmed. And it's like, what arises in that, you know, what deep knowing comes through in that, what possibility opens up. Yeah. So sounds pretty intense, possibly, right? And beautiful. Okay.
Sandra, I just wanted to deep bow to you for sharing a dream. That's sharing a dream online with people you don't know is a pretty vulnerable place to be, because you never know what shows up there. So I just honor your vulnerability and sharing that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Let me echo that too and say, you probably didn't know I was going to invite you to go into it in that way, because we were talking about just sharing an image and then I'd give some ideas. So thank you for being willing to close your eyes and be with the dream deeper. Yeah. Okay, who else has got a dream image? Now, the other ones, I won't go that deep. I'll just hear a dream image and give you some ideas about how to work with that. And then maybe we can hear from at least a couple more folks here. Yeah. So who would like to jump in there and share an image with me?
Marilyn, did you have one? It sounded like you had something. I don't want to call you out. I mean, I guess I am calling you out. So, but I thought you had said something. So
I can give a short. Yeah, actually, Doug's heard this dream before, but I'm reminded that I have told this to a couple of groups in the past, and one of them was with Doug. And what I'm reminded of is the notion that's certainly been true for me, that when you have a really great complex dream like the one we just heard, and this one that I can give you just a little piece of it, it's not like it's not like you interpret it and then like a fine painting, you don't put it in the basement, you know, you keep it on the wall. And then a few years later, you're looking at it and you're seeing something else.
Right.
And also when your friends look at it. So I'm really resonating with her dream. I've never had one quite like that. But man, I could say, well, group dream, what does that mean to me? Being alone and overwhelmed are the words that shimmer for me. So it could be almost like a Lectio Divina for each of us to choose, the teeth in the cauldron or whatever. So anyway, my dream is the part of it is I'm in an enormous city, and it's a new city. I dreamed this at a time that I was new here in Louisville. I'd hardly ever been here before, and I was newly divorced, and I had 2 young children, so I was newly single. And it was a really difficult time for me. So I had this dream one night, and I'm alone in an enormous city, much bigger than Louisville, more like New York or Paris or whatever. And I'm walking my bicycle. I'm alone in this big city. I am walking near the curb of this very wide boulevard. And it's kind of misty and it's getting to be evening, and I've got jeans and a white t-shirt on. Everybody else around me are dressed up to go to the opera, and even the sleek black cars that are going by me fast, they're going to the opera or the symphony or something like that. But I'm very happy that I'm just in my jeans and my t-shirt and my bicycle, and I'm actually walking the bicycle. I have a map in my hand, but I'm rather enjoying being in this big city, being alone, actually. And because and yet there's something about being alone this is both enjoyable and yet also very frightening at the same time, that kind of once. So as I walk along, I hear music, and when I get off the path, so to speak, and I don't know what the path is really, the music stops. So I go looking for that again, and I balance myself and move on. The music that I'm hearing is like mist on my shoulders. It's on my head and my shoulders. And it's a series of very complex chords. It's really an 8-part choir in all voices. And I had dreams before where I would get up and write down the music that I was hearing, but it was usually just a tune. This one was too complex, and I sort of woke up and I said, I can't write this down. I have no idea how to write down these complex chords. Okay, I'll let that go back to sleep again. The one thing I was thinking was, I could, in my dream, okay, so there's also a way of getting to my bed and breakfast, and but I'm going to take a different route, and I know I'll find my way home. So I kind of end on that note. But I'm so fascinated by this music. A couple weeks later, I hear myself singing in a choir. I'm actually in a choir, and I hear that phrase. It's part of a very long and complex choral work that's called Belshazzar's Feast. And it's about the Jews being exiled and by the shores of Babylon. So all of a sudden I hear the phrase. It's like we've been singing for half an hour, this beautiful thing, and all of a sudden there's that music that I heard in my dream. And it's just a phrase. I look down and the words are, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
The Lord's words, or sing the Lord's words in a strange land?
How shall we sing the Lord's song?
Song, yeah.
Land, which is directly out of one of the Psalms, I guess. I'm not sure. You probably recognize that, Jed. The Jews are grieving by the shores of Babylon, and they are asking, how can we possibly sing the songs that we knew then in this strange land? Is kind of like the context of that.
Right. And you in a strange land yourself, right? Like, how do I keep going?
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Not
divorced, I have kids,
not
I'm
only
alone
literally,
in this enormous city, and etc. Right?
yeah, literally in a strange land. Louisville, Kentucky was a strange land for me.
Yeah.
But also metaphorically, the strange land of being single, when I never dreamed that would happen to me.
You know, I wonder, like even like a planetary level, because this was about the Jews in exile.
Yeah.
You know, I always look at dreams for the personal, but then I wonder about planetary. Like, how does my own personal story even stretch out into this larger planetary experience? Like, so I just offer that up because we've talked about this dream before, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have, yeah. So, and I have to say, Doug, that I have not thought about this dream for a while, but I'm now realizing, since you're saying that what a strange land we're living in now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know, I think I've been asking myself that question over and over again. How do I live in this strange land of pandemic? And all the things happening around me, to my family, you know, and to friends and just people in general. What a strange land to be in Louisville and have the name of Breonna Taylor in Louisville all over the world. And all over, I mean, what a strange land. And there are lots of strange lands going on right now, and it's hard. And I'm in the strange land of being older than I used to be.
You know, some people, and we'll go on, and let me just go on and book it here, that I think too, that like some people get dreams for their whole life that are guidance, they're a map forever, and can be applied in so many areas of our lives, if you will, right?
Yes.
And so it sounds like this dream has great import and significance and guidance for you of like how to, you know, let the song come through, if you will, right?
Yes.
Even in a strange, exiled, horrific place we find ourselves collectively and personally, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you. Yeah. Hey, Judd, how are we on time?
Yeah, we got a few, a few minutes left. Maybe we would want to do, I always like doing those kind of checkouts where everybody has a moment to say something that was specifically meaningful or insightful to them, or when in the conversation did you light up or something come to you, or what's really kind of to harvest our time if we want to move towards closure.
We could,
Or
and
how
you
do
know
you,
what we could also do is invite folks to just share an image from their
yeah.
dream, from a dream, because I'm imagining other folks had images too. And so if they want to do that, that might be a way to also check in and check out at the same time. But again, briefly with that
Yeah.
image. We could work with another dream too for a few minutes, but might not have time. We have to end in 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's just see what's come up for people. I mean, this kind of dream,
Yeah.
the way you work with the dream is also the way you could work with almost anything, even a conversation, right?
Right.
Like we could just work with this conversation like it was a dream. Um,
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
some ways, yeah, what showed up, what's sticking with you. And I would imagine um, this conversation may want to be telling us something.
Mm.
I wonder what that is. And I think the way we get to that is, yeah, share what showed up for us.
And then I'll close with a poem. How
Yeah,
about that?
that sounds great. So yeah, let's take you got, 45 seconds. So looks like we got a minute for everybody. So why don't, everybody just jump in. Who wants to share and check out?
I'm sorry, I'm not clear what are we sharing a dream image or
No,
something
I
like
mean,
that?
I guess you could. It feels like if we share another dream image, we're stewing the pot more. What I want to do is take a ladle out of the pot, see what was there. So yeah, what's just come up to you in our conversation? What's been meaningful, insightful?
No, it was the diving into the feelings of the dreams was and like getting to experience other people's dream images and see it worked a little bit, and also the poem very resonating.
Thanks, Max. Who else wants to check out?
I can be next. I think the conversations regarding the poems stirred me, because I think as much as we need to get out of the way of the to move ourselves from whatever soul wants to transmit us through the dream. At the same time, we are the vessel that is receiving this message and is able to gift it back to the communities and to the self. So I love these paradoxes, just stepping back, but also stepping in front and owning whatever is given to you.
Mm.
And thank you.
I'm curious, gentlemen, Judd and Doug, are there workshops on this kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And how are they typically structured?
Yeah, in a variety of ways. I run online programs right now for Animas Valley Institute, and some of them are, a variety of programs right now, but in all programs we do dream work. Usually start the program in the morning. So like the one that Sandra's in, we're meeting twice a week, but it's full. you'd want to get on the Animas website if you're interested in the Animas program, and that's www.animas.org. animas.org, and check out what's on our programs are. But also, I do individual mentoring with folks. I do dream work with everybody. And people sign up for me to work, you know, onesies and twosies, like 1 or 2 sessions. But I have some people that commit to, you know, 6 months. But I can do just dream work with you. So glad, I was going to talk about this. So I'm glad you asked that. So call me. I put my name and my website down in the chat list.
Because here's my reaction to just 90 minutes. It's like putting an English saddle on an octopus and going for a ride.
Yeah.
Nothing to hold on to. You can go anywhere that beast wants to go. And it's, anyway, it was very difficult to contain in the short space.
That's the challenge, yeah. Because you could go longer, but trying to keep people's attention for 3 hours is challenging.
Thank you for trying, and thank you to Marilyn and Sandra for sharing.
A couple of more checkouts.
I love your English saddle on the octopus. I'm going to think about that one. I just love it. I don't know what it means, but it makes me laugh, and I think it's wonderful.
It means, Marilyn, it means there's no pommel to hold on to.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
An English saddle is not like a Western saddle.
Which is so typical, of this work, because, you know, when you get into the depths of the psyche, it feels slippery. Yeah. That comes with the terrain.
Yeah, I can go. I like that question. What part of myself do I want to listen to for direction?
About the rock splitting, what I was thinking about that was that the violets are breaking the rocks in the hills. That's my checkout. Roy?
Oh, there you go.
I'll just, Sandra, your dream was so powerful, because if ever there's a time when we feel overwhelmed with the needs of the world, and just we'll be completely, it's so eloquent for me about, I mean, you know, here I am 77 years old and thinking, what can I do? I think we're leaving the world, you know, we really screwed it up. And I'm speaking for white male leadership as much as anything. And I just, sometimes I feel absolutely distraught. Too many mouths.
Jerry, did you want to finish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that question, what part of myself do I want to listen to? Something to that effect. And yeah, that just invites me to listen to the deepest part of myself I can access. And I also feel moved to like bring that question into my interactions with other people around me. Like, what part of ourselves do we want to bring to the fore when we're interacting with each other? And yeah, just loving opportunities to have deep, authentic connections. So thanks, Douglas and Judd, for offering this.
So and we're going to have some other folks coming in on this channel at 4:30. That's why Stephanie's here. But anyway, right. Stephanie, we're glad you could join us. I think, yeah, what for me stands out, both of your dreams were really powerful and evocative. And I was kind of listening to them as if they were my dream. So I got a lot out of both of them personally. And so thanks for your sharing. Also was meaningful for me. So thanks. That's my checkout.
Yeah, and I'll jump in too. Thanks everyone for being here. I love doing dream work. It's my favorite soulcraft practice. And dreams for me often tell me what's next because I don't get to choose it. So say yes to your dreams and write them down and let them have their way with you. And call me if you want to work on any dreams. I love dream work. So you can hire me as a mentor. Good to be with you.
Thank you all very much, so much, yeah, for your time and energy. And we will put this up on Interfaith Paths to Peace. And you're always welcome to join us at 9 o'clock in the morning. We do interfaith devotionals from different traditions, meditations, and prayers. And then at 3 o'clock, we have programs like this that help us wake up, get connected, and live change. So thanks for being with us, and from all over the world today. So that's really fun. And Doug, thanks for your deep wisdom and your sharing that with us, and creating a translocal community of practice. So appreciate your gifts and wisdom there. So may all of you be blessed, and may your dreams be disturbing. So yeah.
Right.
Thank you all. Yeah, peace.